Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. Great to have you back on the channel. The show's being recorded for Sunday, September 11th, 2022. And great to have all the subscribers back and all the new subscribers. Welcome back to the channel. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. So all the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. And always we get asked how to reach me. It's very easy. Go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. Very straightforward from there. Those of you that watch the show all the time know that we garner questions for these shows from our community board. We send out a request on Mondays. And this week, I think we had over 600 questions. So this week, going to try to get through like 71 questions. It's getting larger and larger every week. And really appreciate all the valuable questions, all the thought that's put in these questions. My wife does go through them and then kind of garners questions that have not been asked before or answered before. Then we go from there. And always a shout out to Hyperledger. These timestamps that you all see are created by Hyperledger. Does a wonderful job. And we usually post those 24 hours after the show is posted. So thanks for everybody's great support out there. And I thought we'd start moving on with the show today. I want to start with a quick acknowledgement of the anniversary of the September 11th date. And I want to send out a lot of love and grace and compassion to all the individuals, the souls that passed over on that day, and the same amount of love and grace and compassion to all the families out there that are missing their loved ones. I want you to know that all of your angels are still looking out after you. And one point I want to make is that I see very often that in large mass events like 9/11 or even the Holocaust, you heard me talk about this before, those souls tend to come back very quickly, sometimes within a couple of years. So by and large, your angels are still looking out after you. And I want to acknowledge the important date of September 11th. It affects a lot of families, and your loved ones are still watching out for you on the other side, and many of them are on this side already reincarnated. So a lot of love to you. Going forward, this is a busy week, and we had the Queen's passing this week. And those of you who watch the show know that months and months ago, earlier this year, I'd forecasted that event would take place, and there would be then a transference of power to Charles. And but I want to start out that somebody did ask, many people asked on the community board, does Queen Elizabeth have a message for us? So we're going to start out this show, the top 71 countdown today, with a message directly from Queen Elizabeth. And I brought her through this morning. And as always, I like to write down exactly what they say. So I'm going to read back verbatim what she said, the message that she had for all of you as recorded this morning here. I want everyone to know that one of the most important missions of my life was focused on trying to bring world leaders and the world together as one on a strong footing for peace, love, and prosperity. When I crossed, I was immediately welcomed by my husband, Prince Philip, my father, George, and Princess Diana. It was also wonderful to be greeted again by my friend, Winston Churchill. This all made for a wonderful immediate welcoming committee and an immediate deep understanding of what heaven is all about and the opportunities that exist therein. I hope everyone enjoyed the magnificent double rainbows that were sent down as a special expression of my gratitude to everyone and my desire for world peace and harmony going forward. I believe I left the world in a better place than I found it. I want everyone to look at my life as a grateful servant to the world and encourage everyone to discover unique ways you can lift up everyone in your life and make everyone's lives better. The world still faces some serious challenges brought on by all of the differences we perceive in others. However, I can assure you right now that standing in heaven with both feet, we are all the same, and you will understand this in your lifetimes. Please do not think back on my life as one of privilege, but one of servitude to humanity. To my family, I send my loving blessings and fully support all of your future endeavors and encourage you to take up the mantle of life and heal the world in the process. My work is complete here on earth. However, I'll continue to be watching over all of you and supporting each one of you. Wonderful message from Queen Elizabeth. First time I chatted with her, but wonderful energy, and I think she'll still be a very strong component for the world going forward. So wonderful. It's happy to share that. So continuing on with our top 71 countdown, question number 70. The DOJ is appealing the special master ruling and plans to push forward in the 11th Circuit Court if Judge Cannon does not remove the injunction regarding investigation of the classified materials removed from Mar-a-Lago. How will the judge respond next week? If the appeal goes to the 11th Circuit Court, will the DOJ win? I'm being told the DOJ is going to have a successful outcome. So I think part of what's being challenged in the appeals court is the prevention of the DOJ continuing their investigation. So it looks like the DOJ is going to win on that appeals point. Looks like the special master is still going to be appointed. But as I said before in prior shows, looks like to me, what my team is telling me, it's kind of a big time waster and dragging things out because the FBI, DOJ has already seen all the documents. So the answer, essentially, whoever asked this question is yes. 69, will Trump be indicted before the midterms? Yes, I believe he will. Looks to me like the DOJ is going to start to move very quickly and try to get this all out in front before the midterms. Does, so I'm being told. 68, will Crimea return to Ukraine? And if yes, what timeline are you looking at next year, next 3 to 5 years? Yes, my team's telling me that it will be returned to Ukraine, and tremendous progress can be made over the next few weeks and months. So it looks like fairly quickly over the course of, I'm going to tell you, 6 to 12 months, it's going to finally be turned over. But tremendous progress for Ukraine in taking back a number of territories, including Crimea, which is what this person was asking about. 67, 2 Fairfax, Kentucky third graders, Johnny Hunley and Jimmy McQuarrie, disappeared in 1964. To date, police have been unable to solve this cold case. Can you please give some peace to the families and advise what happened to them? Well, what I'm being told is there was foul play involved. It looks like an older gentleman was involved in the foul play. I know there's a cold case. This is, I guess, Fairfax, Ohio. But what I'm being told here, if anybody's listening in the investigation, you'll find them someplace close to a windmill. Now, this goes back a lot of years, this case. I think it was 1964, they said, yeah. I see 2 references here. They're showing me an image of like an old school windmill you find on a farm, and also what I'll call a new skill, like wind farms for solar energy. There's something about where these boys are placed that looks to me like it's close to the entrance of a wind farm. So hopefully that helps. If anybody is working on the investigation, we have ways to help you, but whoever asked the question, that's what I'm getting. There was foul play involved. They will find them. And I'm also being told here that based on this information, whoever is doing the investigation may want to look at using what they call ground penetrating radar in these areas, and they will find them. So blessings to the family. It's always hard to see those things, but hopefully the information my team relayed here is helpful. 66, will there be a cure for arthritis? Yes, absolutely. Medical teams are already working on CRISPR technology that will reduce inflammation for a lot of our arthritic conditions, and tremendous progress being made over the next 1 to 2 years here, and then rolling out into large-scale adaptation of new drugs, I'm being told. So that's what I call the low-hanging fruit for CRISPR technology. Medical industry is going after things that a wide section of the population are wrestling with. 65, will Missouri Republican Eric Schmidt win the seat for the U.S. Senate? He is trying to introduce legislation to block student loan relief, sued school districts for mask requirements, and prevent access to abortions. Looks like he wins the GOP nomination, but not the Senate race. So whoever asked this, does not look like he wins the overall Senate race. 64, Dear Sterling, someone posted on YouTube that she had a prophetic dream that Charles would not be king for very long, maybe 2 years before abdicating in favor of William. So, I've read on this many times, actually, even going back a year or more. And I did see Charles would eventually become king, but for a short period of time. And at that time, my guys are kind of reiterating here that it felt like something 6 to 12 months, but I kept getting like 6 months. So, yeah, short term, there's something that he does then move the position over to another family member, which looks like it's William to me. So, yeah, it looks like it is a short period of time and discussed on the show several times. 63. I've heard that ETs won't allow a nuclear disaster. Why not with Hiroshima? So this question comes up all the time, but the role of extraterrestrials is never to get in the way of lessons for humanity. They'll never stop lessons for humanity. That particular event formed the basis for the end of World War II. What extraterrestrials are completely focused on is not allowing the annihilation of the planet, because this Earth is an important planet for them too. So this is why they see they get involved in nuclear missile silos and shutting down missile systems. But Hiroshima was part of a lesson path for humanity, so they'll never get in the way of that. 62. Hi, Sterling. Last night I was awoken, heard a voice say download, and saw what looked like the movie The Matrix, with rows of numbers and letters moving back and forth, purple and pink colored background. Was I dreaming, or was there really a download? Can you guys tell me with what information? I'm not getting a download. What I'm getting is they were demonstrating that you have access to the Akashic records. That's actually symbology for the Akashic records. So my recommendation, whoever asked this question, is take some time out to develop, foster that skill. They're showing you that you can get direct access to it. So I don't see a direct download of information per se at that time, but they're kind of building you up and preparing you for things you're going to be working on and doing. 61. Do alien species have, or ET species have, same-sex couples, same as we do as humans, and is it considered normal in their lifestyle? Yes, all combinations of lifestyles that we have here on Earth and across even LGBTQ, everything is more normalized across extraterrestrial species. They're much more advanced in their understanding of spirituality and species, and yes, they have all of that. 60. Thanks for sharing your gifts so generously. Last week, the FBI raided 3 homes of a Russian oligarch named Viktor Vekselberg, including the homes in Florida and New York. Was this raid related to U.S. sanctions and money laundering, or was it related to documents recovered from 45 at Mar-a-Lago? The answer is they're telling me both. So this individual was responsible for actions in Ukraine, as well as money laundering for entertainment purposes only. So this is part of a very, I'm being told, very deep investigation that goes back years, as a matter of fact, is what led to this eventual seizure, or this was a raid, I think they said here, a raid, yeah. So it was a deep investigation and related to kind of all of the above here. 59. Hi, Sterling. 33 years ago, I revisited my childhood home. While I stood in the garage, a collie walked up to me from behind. I was so amazed because my dog from childhood was a collie. As I pet the dog, I told the homeowners how amazed I was that they had a collie, and I asked them if they were aware that we had one too when we lived there. I also asked them what the dog's name was. They just stared at me and said nothing. I changed the subject as it seemed uncomfortable. I went for a walk on the property soon after the dog stayed with me. I have been wondering for 33 years if maybe I was the only one who could see that dog. Was that dog my dog Bowser from my childhood? And I have to preface this question that, sometimes I'll answer questions real time on the community board. And I didn't answer this. I answered this individual's question on the community board this week real time. But the answer was, I'll share it with you, is 100% his dog from childhood. And this was a way of his dog. I think Bowser was the dog's name. trying to get this individual to acknowledge him. And even the fact that we're talking about him now in the year 2022, this is Bowser's way of coming forward with love, affection, respect, and want you to acknowledge him. So thanks for asking the question. And I think my wife thought that this was a good question to share with everybody. It's wonderful. We're dog lovers completely, and cat lovers too, and horse lovers. So a lot of animals. 58. Hi, Sterling and team. Is complete sobriety necessary for maximum ability to communicate with our guides? Well, they're telling me this. Let me put it this way. Anything that prevents full clarity of mind with that channel that opens up to the universe does prevent you from having clear communication with angels and guides. Now, this individual here, if you're working on sobriety, that's a life lesson, something you're working through. And all life lessons are meant to teach us lessons as well as those around us and those we come in contact with. So I will tell this individual that, move towards complete clarity of mind and relaxation and control of all the things that are getting in your way in life. And if one of the life path lessons is working through sobriety, that's a lesson. But certainly anything you do that clouds your mind, that takes away the crispness of thought, doesn't make it more difficult to connect. However, your angels and guides are always around and helping you through everything in life. So I hope that helps. 57, Sterling, I'm wondering about elves. Are they real or just pure mythology? Well, they're absolutely real. They're a type of fairy, and I've discussed this before, that fairies do exist in the spiritual realm. They're more regional, so they actually they're more aligned to certain regions of the world. They protect certain regions, but they are a functional type of fairy. But I'm being told here in a humorous way, they never got together with Santa Claus and built toys in his workshop. So if there are any children listening here, I hope that doesn't dispel any problems. But fairies are real, and they do exist, and they're in the spiritual realm. So elves, I should say, and elves are a type of fairy. 56. Hi, Sterling. I've heard you reference the movie Defending Your Life and how most of it is pretty accurate. While they were in Judgment City, they were able to eat whatever they wanted and not gain weight, go to a place to see past lives, among other things, jobs, etc. Do we have to give all that up once we continue on to the next phase, or will we always have those abilities? You actually have all those abilities. Everything available to you in heaven is available. Thought creates reality completely in heaven, and you're able to experience everything that you want in heaven. Take a look also at the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. I think that's one of my favorites as well. That movie, the script was channeled, and I think a couple of things in there I would not recommend. They don't align with what my team says. There's some subjects in that What Dreams May Come movie about purgatory and hell, which are not quite accurate, but a big portion of the movie is. So whoever asks this question, you can experience everything you like in heaven, and take a look at that additional movie. 55. Hi, Sterling. Why did the CFO of Bed Bath & Beyond jump to his death? The company has been experiencing financial problems for a while, but did he do something illegal that will soon come to light? For entertainment purposes only, and I'm not a doctor, but what I'm being told is he did not do anything illegal, but he had some problems, some called medical problems, health problems here that were not dealt with, and out of pride, it looks like he did not want to get kind of the help he needed. I would call it psychological help. But there's something there with a lot of extended long-term stress and help he did not get led to it. So I'm not picking up here that anything, let's say, illegal that went on that caused him to try to take his life. Now, remember, by the way, nobody exits, and nobody has a successful exit, let's put it that way, when it's not your exit point. So that was his exit point, but I do not pick up it was something illegal. 54. Love your show and all information your guides share. Washington State has the highest per capita reports of UFOs. One of the most controversial cases was the 1947 Maury Island incident, which included the first report of the Men in Black. Was this a real encounter or a hoax? Completely 100% real encounter. And I'm getting the individuals involved. I don't know if there's a man and wife or two people, whatever this was. They started saying it was a hoax because they couldn't deal with the public pressure. or governmental pressure as well. So completely real experience, but then they backed off saying it was a hoax. I understand that. Yeah, they're just telling me because they want to kind of get the pressure off their back from all the public scrutiny. 53, do ETs ever take on the role of spirit guides or guardians for humans? Well, let me put it this way. They never take on the complete role of an angel and a birth angel or a spiritual guide. They do work collaboratively in the same spiritual domain as angels and guides. And they do work very closely. If you've been selected for somebody to work with them and help them to push something forward in the way of health, science, technology, world peace, they will align with you and work with you and help guide you for those kinds of missions, if you will. But they never take over the role, per se, of a birth angel or spiritual working guide, so to speak. They're still extraterrestrials, but they work with you for kind of different purposes. 52. Are they reminding me here? They also get involved, obviously, with saving the world from nuclear disaster. So that's one thing too. 52. Hi, Sterling. Humans have been polluting the water with all kinds of harmful chemicals like PFASs, PFAS, which can survive in the air, soil, and water forever and cause severe health hazards. Do your guys have anything to say about how the Earth will be able to combat or deal successfully with this and other contaminants? Yes, actually, the technology to break down these compounds has been delivered already by extraterrestrials to many scientists. It's actually already being worked on. It involves taking these chemicals or compounds under severely high pressure and large voltages. Basically, it somehow breaks down the ionic connections of the atoms. So as a process here, they'll be used to break them down successfully. It's already being worked on, and it's going to take a few years here. Well, a few years to get it perfected, and then a few more years to get it to a point where they can bring it to scale. But we will have the technologies being worked on right now. Okay, 51 the countdown. Hi, Sterling and team. On the previous Sunday, you said angels do not have wings. At age 4, I was awakened to what appeared to be 3 to 4 translucent, small, toddler-like angels with wings flying around my bed. Can your team tell me what these beings were and what was the reason for the visit? These were angels and guides. They showed you an image they thought you'd be comfortable with. They don't actually have wings, but they showed you an image to make you feel comfortable. It looks like they were around just to let you know that they were around. So I don't get, sometimes angels will visit you if there's a health problem going on or particular crisis in your life, but this was just acknowledgement so you know that they're there. And it sounds like you were young, age 4. Remember, we're all born with complete psychic mediumship ability at childhood, and most people put it down by the ages of 6 or 7, so very typical. 50. Hello, Sterling. Leonardo da Vinci had a 2-year period in his life where he supposedly disappeared from his regular life. After this period of time, he came back and then was very prolific in all of his inventions and paintings. Was he influenced by ETs in this 2-year period? Yes, this 2-year period was a period of seclusion for him. I guess in current terminology, people would say he went off the grid, but he was in a peaceful time, and this allowed him to actually download a lot of information from spiritual beings and extraterrestrials that really helped him in many of his inventions going forward, like the helicopter. And he had a lot of inventions. Nothing mysterious per se, but he went into seclusion, kind of off the grid, if that's what this person's asking. And it did help him. He did connect with extraterrestrials. Big download for him. Always liked following all the things that Leonardo da Vinci did in his life. Very fascinating individual. 49. The energy prices here in UK are going up by 80%, while energy companies are posting record profits. Politicians are saying it's because of Russia, but it seems a lie to me. Many people are having to choose between heating and eating. Will this all go back to normal? Yes, it will. I've talked about this on prior shows, but I see the UK government under new leadership now really aggressively going after this problem. So it looks like they're going to go after supplementing utility bills, so providing rebates or something. they're going after, along with many countries of the world, in getting OPEC to produce more oil and supply energy to the world. And it also looks like the UK government is going to come up with some sort of, I'll call it, limits on utility bills. So some sort of a threshold where you won't have to pay over a certain sum. So it looks like many programs are going to start up quickly here and start to get into play to help with these. I know that I discussed this on prior shows, saying I saw the 80% increases, whatever this was. So programs are coming. And looks to me like they're telling me strong rollout as we get into the end of this year, starting into next year, beginning of next year. So it's all coming. 48. I stayed at a hotel in New Orleans, heard the door open, looked and saw it did not open. Next, I saw a man with a silver-haired ponytail walking the length of the room several times. Was that a ghost? Ended up by leading through the wall. It's absolutely a ghost. And my team is telling me this was somebody that was a former knight. So somebody involved in, say, more of a sort of, it looks like this is somebody that was involved in battle and was a knight, some kind. Okay, 47 in the countdown. How do we know if one is a starseed or extraterrestrial? Is there any indication from the lines in the palm of the hand? No real way to tell from a physical attribute, but I would tell you to work with a professional psychic or medium, and that's a good way to kind of determine whether you start as an extraterrestrial or a starseed. But good question. 46. Do aliens have any thoughts on humans, like 45? Do they help stop the madmen? Well, they never stand in the way of life lessons for humanity, but they do help out and get involved in ways that might be the destruction overall of humanity. So I think this person asked, they asked about ETs. Absolutely, they do get involved in, but again, to repeat, they don't get involved in life lessons. So if in this case, of this question, if there's a madman that is really going to try to start nuclear war and the destruction of the world or Earth, they do get directly involved. They do. 45. Hi, my husband and I, on 2 separate occasions, have heard someone yell our name while we were asleep. It was so loud it woke us up. Is someone trying to communicate with us? And if so, who is it? What do they want? I'm being told this is a deceased family member on your husband's side, and they're trying to reconcile with you and tell you they're sorry. This looks like a man to me, but I do get shades of a woman. Kind of interesting. So this is coming in and out of focus for my team as a woman and a man. So somebody trying to apologize. So what I would do is try to acknowledge the family member you've dealt with over the last decade that passed. And they really want to apologize. So interesting. That's a very strong effort on the other side for a family member, trying to get you to acknowledge them and acknowledge their apology. 44. The Anti-Defamation League obtained a list of 38,000 members, and among those members are police, military, elected officials, and business people. How much danger does this group pose to the U.S. and our democracy? Well, I'm being told the FBI, the CIA already has this list and had this list. I know this in the, I guess the news, whoever asked the question felt like the list was just released, but I'm being told that CIA and the FBI already had these lists in different form, and they're completely aware and have already started putting plans in place to ensure it's not a widespread problem. So that means identification, actions behind the scenes. So this is all going to be taken care of. Yes, I mean, it represents a threat, but the federal government is on top of it. 43. Over 40% of Iraqis are in poverty and starving because Iran-backed Iraqi government ministers and judges use bribery and intimidation to keep the person who was elected October 21 from assuming power and revaluing their currency. They have stolen billions of dollars from Iraq to enrich themselves and smuggle it to Iran, which is under sanctions by the US. When will the duly elected leaders party take over? And when will Iraq revalue its currency to be able to feed its people, create jobs, and be independent of Iran's hold on them? detailed question here. Well, it's looking to me like it's going to be another 2 decades. So I'll give you 1 to 2 decades for this to get realigned. What I'm being told is because of an influence of the conversion of the world's economy to a green economy, green technology economy. So it shifts the balance of the way money is moved around due to a green economy. So whoever asked the question, it looks like it's no faster than another decade and more closer to 2 decades before this all comes back into balance. Yeah, a difficult problem, it is. 42, for as long as I can remember, I have experiences where I wake up and large spiders will either be in my bed or coming down the wall or a web from me. I usually jump up and leave the room. When I go back to the room, there are no spiders. Is this an optical illusion or something else? Well, I always have to say I'm not a doctor, but I'm being told this is an illusion and something that you might want to work with a physician on. So it looks like there's something medically going on here. And again, not a doctor, but it may be something having to do with medication or something that's being taken in, and maybe withdrawal symptoms, something of that nature here. So, take a look at that. Work with a physician. My team is telling me this is not a spiritual experience, more of illusion created from a health condition. 41. There are a lot of video evidences of flying creatures called rods. Can you tell us about the origin and propulsion method used by these trans-dimensional beings? There appears to be a number of subspecies in a wide range of sizes. Yes, these are a form of extraterrestrial that move very, very quickly and create the optical effect of rods. They use magnetic propulsion systems. And yes, so there are many species. These are a subspecies, not related to Pleiadians or Arcturians or anything else, but they are a subspecies. They're mistaken for insects, but they're not insects. That's the optical effect they give when they're captured on camera. So good question. 40. Hi, Sterling. I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm not sure if you've watched the news this week, but it's been a very violent, scary week. Right now, the whole city is locked down because there is a random shooter killing people all over town just one day after the body of a jogger was discovered. Is this escalating anger and violence in our country going to get any better anytime soon? Well, Will, I did see the news this week. Very unfortunate. Saying love and light and prayers to the family of everybody affected by the shooter and the jogger that perished. A lot of love and light to all those families. Yeah, it's going to be another 3 to 4 years here before things really start to settle down in the U.S. and this nation. But the reason is that things will start to settle down after a lot of the elections take place. Now, going to be a lot of ruckus and rioting as these elections take place and the aftermath of people still claiming they were unfair. But the answer to this question is that we've got another 3 to 4 years to go here until we get through the elections, including the 2024 election, get through it and beyond, where things will start to calm down a bit. They will. 39. Hi, Sterling. In the 1950s, a man named Lobsang Rampa wrote a series of books about his experiences growing up in Tibet as a young monk. The first book was called The Third Eye. His books are full of extraordinary details about the Tibet of that era, pre-Chinese occupation, as well as information about the spiritual practices of the Tibetan monks, hidden valleys where they were to collect special herbs, and archaeological artifacts that may have come from ETs. Later, he was exposed as a fraud, an Englishman, in fact, who had written these works. No connection to Tibet at all. What I'd like to know is, was there any truth in his writing? Well, I get he completely channeled these books. So as a human, no direct experience in Tibet, but he completely channeled the works of these books and looks like he did a very good job. So a lot of what's in those books has an element of truth in it. I understand from the question here he was exposed as a fraud, but it looks like the information was truthful and channeled. So not just a complete work of fiction. Mm-hmm. And actually, they're telling me it came a lot through his guides and angels, as well as passed over entities and individuals that wanted that information conveyed to the public. 38, scientists have reported a common lab molecule, EDU, used by researchers to identify dividing cells being interrupted by the body as damage. Being interpreted by the body as damage. Could this be the breakthrough for curing cancer? Yes, I'm aware of this EDU cell. I think decades ago it was invented to try to understand or identify disintegrating cells of a nature. And yes, it will actually have a direct linkage to CRISPR technology. And some of the first things that will be utilized on are cancer treatments and fighting brain cancer, is what I'm being told. So yes, all true. It's one of the several breakthroughs also using CRISPR technology, along with this question EDU. And yes, it's going to be very successful. 37. And I guess they're just telling me here over the next just couple of years here, 1 to 2 years, big advances in that area. 37, Sterling, do ETs require sleep? What kind of food do they eat? Yes, they require rest and relaxation like any entity or species in the universe, and they consume a lot of plant-based vegetation and high-protein substances developed. 36, now that a light has been shined on the neglect of issues in Jackson, Mississippi, will the state work with the city to solve its other problems once the water crisis is over? Well, yes, I see an immediate 1 to 2 year plan being put in place to, for example, start here to correct all the water problems, start to replace all the infrastructure. It looks like a very aggressive 1 to 2 year plan to start all this. I think it's going to might take as much as 5 years to replace all the water infrastructure. Getting the plant repaired will be rather quick. So it looks like a lot of this will come into play. Sometimes a lot of these problems come to a major effect in society, like we saw here in Jackson, Mississippi, and it takes kind of that culmination of such a large problem, and if you put it on the world stage, if you will, then that allows a lot of the focus and attention to be placed on it. So very unfortunate for the water condition, other things going on in the state. It looks like very fast, rapid plans are going to get put in place. 35, hi Sterling, what does your team see for the future of cultivated meat industry? That's the meat industry. For those who don't know about this yet, it's a technology which can generate actual animal meat from a single cell. Yes, this will be important to the supply chain for meat, and it will be used in conjunction with other plant-based meat substitutes. So a whole collection of things coming up here for meat replacements in the industry, along with this technology, yes. 34, hi Sterling. Australia was just issued a warning about Pine Gap, which is a top secret place in the desert. The warning is that it may be a Russian target. Could you see if the Australians have anything to worry about? Well, yes, Pine Gap, I'm getting as a secret or sub-secret military installation, and it's been a target for Russia for a long time. It doesn't appear there's any immediate danger. It does look like extraterrestrials, I'm being told here, are watching over that facility, and that facility is important for early missile detection. It actually looks at things like flares from missiles or intercontinental or ballistic missiles, early detection. So it looks like it is a Russian target, but looks like ETs are looking over that facility. Okay, 33 in the countdown. Sterling, you've mentioned many times that dogs and horses in particular are from the angelic realm, but I don't recall you including cats in that group. Are they too narcissists to be angels? Okay, well, all animals are from the angelic realm, so they're not angels per se, but they're from the angelic realm. And yes, cats are included, horses, dogs, all alligators, crocodiles, whales, dolphins, octopus, you name it. They're all part of the angelic realm, and they're all here to teach us lessons. That's why they're here. I think that's all the questions, right? Yeah, all from the angelic realm. 32. Due to the recent bouts of climate change, fires are more prevalent, and we're all experiencing water shortages. Will there be an environmentally friendly fire retardant that can be used instead of water in the near future? Yes, over the next 1 to 2 years here, there'll be new fire retardants. They'll be based on food substrates or food friendly. So something looks like something organic that would actually be so organic that if somebody consumed it, it'd be like a food substance. So yeah, there's new fire retardants coming. Absolutely. Yep. 31. Egyptians weren't afraid of death and embraced it, leaving this world free. They took great lengths to prepare the soul's journey to the afterlife. ETs played an integral role in the ancient Egyptians' technology, were ETs also an influence on how the ancient Egyptians viewed death and the rituals they did? Or was this a faith cultural belief? No, the Egyptians actually did base a lot of their beliefs understanding from their interaction with many extraterrestrial groups. So their understanding of life and the afterlife, and also their understanding of what they called, gods from the sky. So a lot of extraterrestrial species in some cases were confused with gods or fire gods. Yes, so all very influential. ETs were very influential on how the Egyptians viewed all of these things. 30. Well, the new booster shots for Omicron, BA4 and BA5 help ward off the new strain of COVID you predicted at the end of this year. Yes, they'll be very helpful. And I see refinements coming in the COVID vaccine that will increase shelf life, the ability to transport the vaccine worldwide. So even some refinements coming in the vaccine, the dual vaccine that's just being released now. It's all going to be very helpful. 29. Why does 45 have so much leverage over elected or appointed officials? How is he able to skirt the law? Simple answer is extreme amount of offshore financial leverage from various groups for entertainment purposes only, and the fact that 45 has compromising informations on many people across government and in financial institutions. So I'll leave it to your imagination, but a great deal of compromising information and even videos in some cases on people. And that's how he exerts a lot of leverage over people. And it's not unlike the way the syndicate works. 28. I have heard that items can hold energy. Since then, I'm reluctant to get anything used. And if I have a bad experience, I worry about wearing the clothing I was wearing that day again. I have noticed that when I wear certain clothes that I have a bad experience in, and it happens again. Can your guides explain anything about this subject? Well, all items contain energy, and even clothing and artifacts, people's watches, things like that. However, the bad experiences has everything to do with the reality you create around that energy. So you might identify with an energy from a piece of clothing or an object, and maybe you experience or have a bad experience. It's not directed by that object. That's you creating your own reality. So hopefully that's helpful. It's the influence that you feel from the object. It's not the object or the energy from the object, but you just associate that energy with a bad experience. You create kind of a new reality. Hopefully that helps. 27. Can angels be considered as extraterrestrials? No, and I think we talked about this before. Extraterrestrials are still extraterrestrials. They move very quickly through many dimensions, including heaven, and they move through the angelic realm, but they're not considered angels, no. In fact, I think the person's asking reverse questions. Can angels be considered extraterrestrials? No, and extraterrestrials are not angels. So angels are not ETs, and ETs are not angels. They're separate. 26. Hi, Sterling. My daughter had several incidents where she would wake up in the middle of the night in her apartment and notice an older woman looking at her. It happened so many times to her, it got scary. Just as you advised many other people before, I asked my daughter to send the apparition love and light and ask it to leave. I did the same prayer home myself. There were no more incidents after that. Who was that old woman? This was an individual that lived in that location, was fascinated by the location, and actually felt some kind of warmth towards your daughter or your family. And as said, they will all spiritual energies will respect it. If you ask them to leave, they'll certainly move on. 25. Hello, Sterling. There's currently a company in Israel working on plant-based regenerative 3D bioprinted breast implants. Will this be successful and available for women with vasectomies? If so, when? Yes, completely successful. A very good effort. It'll be used in conjunction with other types of bioprinted 3D breast implants. So this is a wave of new technologies coming, and this will be successful. I see clinical trials in the next year, and like we're starting to roll out of 1 to 2 years. So it's coming very quickly, and looks like it'll be the first of many types of technologies there. Bioprinted 3D breast implants. Yes. 24. When I was about 16, my parents and I went on a vacation from our Midwestern home to the Southwest. We stopped at the Teos Pueblo, and my parents got out of the car to look around. I couldn't get out of the car. I had a feeling of foreboding and dread that I've never felt before. Before my parents returned to the car, I was lying in the back seat with my eyes closed. Since then, my husband and I have moved back to New Mexico. I've been to Teos a few more times, and one time actually took the tour with no problems. What was going on with me on the earlier visit? You're highly sensitive, you're a bit of an empath, and you were picking up energy in that event that had to do with a bit of what I call violent or warlike behavior. So looks like some people, there's some violence in that area at one point, maybe some warlike elements, and you're picking up on all that energy. Well, looks like since then you closed down that empath, that empathic ability, which you can open up at any time, but looks like that's why you had a better experience later on in life with your husband. 23, according to some spiritual teachings, departed souls may go through what is called an astral plane before reaching the spirit home. Is that true? And how long does this process take? Well, when you die, you pass immediately into the heaven dimension. You are guided by birth angels, guardian angels. You start to meet up with family members as you start to make the transference into the heaven dimension. But I think this is what this person's asking about an astral plane before. No, remember the astral plane, you actually move right into the heaven dimension, but the process of kind of moving through it, it's almost like walking into the entrance of a stadium, if you will, or coliseum. You kind of walk in the initial door. It takes a while to kind of walk up the ramp, get into the stadium. But the stadium or the coliseum is essentially like the heaven dimension. So you do move forward with a lot of escorts and help, and they gradually reintroduce you to people and to guides and to angels. So it's not a complete shock to your system. 22, I met a former NASA astronaut, Edgar Mitchell, in 2004 in St. Petersburg, Florida. I attended his conference about his organization, IONS, or IONS. That is when my belief about ETs changed. Before that, I didn't believe in ETs. Edgar Mitchell was a huge influence on me from that day going forward. Are there any messages he would like to relay to everyone? Yes, he'd like everyone to know that it's important in life to keep an open mind and embrace new concepts and technologies. Humanity only understands a small fraction of everything the universe holds. So everybody keep an open mind and move yourself forward in knowledge and the understanding that that knowledge is there to help everybody. 21. Hello, Sterling. Oh, you also told me as part of that, make sure you embrace extraterrestrials as part of that open-mindedness. Absolutely. And I know a lot of the audience already does. 21. Hello, Sterling. When I was 10 years old, my grandfather died. At the viewing, I saw him sit up, shake his head, and climb out of the coffin, but his body was still there. For years, I thought this was my childhood fantasy, but I recently found out a younger cousin of mine also saw the same thing. What did we witness? You witnessed your grandfather's spirit leaving his body. Now, it's interesting that many times spirits will leave their physical body days before their physical body actually gives up. For some reason, your grandfather chose that time to depart. And so congratulations, you saw that experience. So it's a real experience, and that was him eventually, finally leaving his body. 20. Sterling, who will win the Pennsylvania governor's race? Will it be Trump-backed Doug Mastriano or my boss, the Attorney General, Josh Shapiro? Looks like the AG, Josh Shapiro, to me, is what they're telling me. 19. Will hearing loss be cured within 5 years? Yes, so that's a wide spectrum. Within 5 years, significant progress using CRISPR technology and nanotechnology, nano microelectronics. So these are electronics that are fractions the width of a human hair. Talk about nanometer, they call nanometer technology, complete little computers. So that's all coming. And by the way, nanotechnology has been brought to us by extraterrestrials, all the developments, people working on it. But yes, hearing will be one of the things that'll be worked on, and massive improvements within 5 years. Okay, 18 the countdown. Hi, Sterling. I would like to know if your team is able to provide insight on the practice of organized religion. Does participation in religion assist with elevating our souls to higher dimensions once we cross over and return to heaven? Or does this not play a part in where and how we return, as we will all return to the same space, and how we choose to live, religion or not, determines our soul level on the other side. So religion by itself does not determine if we move or do not move into the heaven dimension. We all move into the heaven dimension. The way you live your life, and the way you learn lessons, and the way you live in life, and the way you move love forward in life are some of the most important things we do in life. Now, the practice of religion helps center us and put us in tune with our angels and guides, and many of the world's religions are centered in love and help you move forward in love. So it's the way you move forward in love and the actions you take in life, and if part of that is practicing certain religions, that all elevates you energetically. But the very fact that you practice religion or don't practice religion by itself, say, does not determine whether you move into the heaven dimension or not. So this is an expansive discussion, and one that we could probably take up on another show, almost all by itself. But religions are important to help keep people centered and help direct loving energy to themselves and understanding the nature of the universe. And so hopefully that's helpful. It's a very large discussion, but I would just say, simply put, whether you practice religion or not does not determine by itself whether you move into heaven. We all move into heaven. 17. Hi, Sterling. Can you provide some more info about prankster spirits? Who are they and why do they prank? Do they eventually get tired of pranking, evolve, and move on? Well, understand, prankster spirits are lower level energies or spirits on the other side. Almost like, in a funny way, considered as like school dropouts. So they like to waste a lot of time, and they'll be happy to waste your time. And they do hang out a lot around haunted houses, but they're really lower level energies, and you can attract them in if you don't try to elevate yourself energetically, meaning asking for the highest level individuals or spirit energy that are aligned with the one source, the one force to come through. Ouija boards are a great way to bring through prankster spirits. That happens a lot of time for people, but they're just, they'll waste your time, and you can ask them to leave and say a quick protective prayer if you don't want them to waste your time. 16, Sterling and team. Recently, more light has been shed on the increase in the number of deaths of members related to the CIA and covert agents. A notable increase has grown over the last year and a half. Will the DOJ and others find these particular agents are associated with the top secret missing folders from 45's possession? If so, will the DOJ indict 45 on this and other crimes related to the stolen intel? Well, for entertainment purposes only, this information is already widely known by the DOJ and the federal government. And yes, a lot of the documents that were involved here did put individuals in compromising positions worldwide. It even led to the deaths of some individuals, unfortunately. So all this information is already known by the federal government, and there is a direct relationship there. 15, why are orcas ramming boats off the coast of Spain? Well, I'm getting not just orcas, but other types of marine mammals, even maybe dolphins. Well, looks like it's all related to food sources. So like frustration over the lack of food sources, and then following boats around due to sourcing some food and frustration. So it doesn't look like anything neurological going on to me, or some sort of an algae or bacteria that's affecting their navigation systems. it appears to be a pure frustration over food sources. And I guess declining food sources in some areas that cause them to want to ram fishing boats. So looks like that's what's going on. And it feels like scientists are already aware of this. 14. My question is about NDEs, near-death experiences. Does anyone who has been declared clinically dead experience them? I'm sorry. Does anyone who has been declared clinically dead experience them? Some who have been resuscitated said they didn't experience an NDE. Is it that they have no memory of it, or only some people have them? It's the latter. Only some people get them, but here's the reason. Not everybody moves fully through the near-death experience. So the near-death experience, if you go fully through it, leads to a decision point. Normally, it's whether you want to stay or come back or go back to the world. So it has a lot to do with two factors, whether you're supposed to get up to the precipice, if you will, of a near-death experience, of making that decision with your birth angels to stay in the afterlife or come back, or you may be selected as part of your life path to come back and relay that near-death experience as part of your life path here on Earth. Many people have the experience and then come back and write a book or relay the experience. So not everybody that, let's say, dies on the operating table will have a full near-death experience. It all depends on, this is all connected to your life path and whether you're supposed to be faced with a decision on whether to come back or not. Hopefully that helps. 13. Hi, Sterling. I recently watched a documentary on individuals who have what is termed animal dysphoria. They truly believe they are animals like wolves and cats trapped in a human body. They identify as Therians or otherkins. I was really impressed with their intelligence, creativity, and forward-thinking ideas. Are these individuals really animal spirits in human form? No, absolutely. They're not animals trapped in human form, but I'm not a doctor. I'm being told this is a form of image dysphoria with a person. So there's a health-based situation going on here. This is an image, body image issue with the person. So hopefully that helps. 12. Hi, Sterling. Several years ago, I was participating in a Reiki healing circle. 5 of us surrounded the massage table. I had my hands over the thigh of the person on the table. Suddenly, I felt something literally fly from their thigh into my hands, arms, and body. It was like it got sucked into me. I got extremely dizzy and nauseated. I dropped to my knees because I was afraid I might faint. I stayed in that position for about 30 minutes until the dizziness finally subsided. My question is, what was that? Well, that was energy moving from the patient's body into your body. Now, this is an artifact of Reiki healing, and I know I think you were in a class, right? A Reiki healing circle. Well, you know, this is Reiki, like many other specializations, is something you have to train for and work on. It's like being a musician, you know, train every day, you practice every day. So this is energy being moved about. Part of Reiki is moving energy from the universe through your body into the person. In some cases, it's moving energy out of the person's or the patient's body into yours. So it's all part of a Reiki experience. Really nothing to worry about, but more practice is required here. 11. Love your show, Sterling. I recently saw a show on people that have received organ donations. Recipients have reported that they have new skills, personality traits, and others. After meeting the donor's family members, they can confirm that this seemed to come from the donor. What do your guides have to say about this? Well, yes. So this has to do with, let's say, not the direct organ itself, but the attachment the spirit has. So the spirit of the former person that donated the organ to you. So they have an interest in you and continuing on with something they like. So let's say a painting example, if they were a prolific painter in life, they may try to incentivize you or inspire you to do more with painting. So not to say the exact organ itself, but it's that spirit, that person moving forward with that organ that has an interest in you for kind of moving their life purpose forward. So hopefully that helps. All very true. Okay, 10 in the countdown. Hi, Sterling. Can you provide some insight for me, please? When your guides report on people who have passed over, often reports that the person is working on some concern or issue, like Mikhail Gorbachev reports he's working on certain issues. What exactly are these actions? What assignments might be passed on over beings to take on? Well, typically what they do as individuals, it's all your choice when you pass over, but you might choose to work on humanitarian efforts or to help with new technology or to stop warfare or wars in the world. So depending on what expertise you develop in life, you may want to try to help by inspiring people here on Earth, giving them angel thoughts. That's the kind of work we're talking about. Try to intervene and help and inspire to create a better world and differences for people in the way they live their lives. So hopefully that's helpful. 9, are dreams a result of parallel lives in a different dimension? If not, can you shed some light on them? No, they're not associated with living lives in parallel dimensions. Dreams are a mechanism for you to relax your logical mind, for then family members that crossed over or angels and guides to communicate with you and really deliver meaningful messages. So not to be confused with astral travel, which is an out-of-body experience, but this is all about ways for them to connect with you. And many times dreams are meant to be lessons for us. In fact, there are some excellent dream books out there that might help interpret dreams, but it's not as a result of living in a parallel life or a parallel universe. 8 in the countdown. An article online says the Doomsday Glacier is holding on by its fingernails. Do you see this glacier breaking off in the next 1 to 2 years? If so, how high do your guides see the ocean waters increasing? Any chance ETs are helping in this area? Well, I'm not being told it's going to break off in the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. It looks like closer to a decade to me. And it could be even closer to 10 to 15 years here. It's coming. Now, this glacier is the size of Florida, so it is going to raise the water levels around many coastal areas of the world by a few feet. It's going to be an issue, but it's not happening the next couple of years. It looks like scientists are going to try to get their arms around it. Won't be able to stop it from melting, but it looks to me like it's more than a decade away before it does drop. 7 in the countdown. So often when loved ones who have passed and our guides and angels appear somehow to give us messages or see us, they do it in a way that scares us. Why can't they do it in a way that we're able to understand and not frighten us? Well, this is all part of the elevation of humanity and understanding of humanity. That's why they're working with us right now. And you'll find that the veil is thinning, and very soon that a lot of humanity won't be as scared. So the things that scare you now really won't be so they won't be so scary as we move forward with humanity, as the veil lessens and becomes much thinner, and many people on Earth have these experiences. 6, I remember you said that Pleiadians will take the lead making early contact. Will Sirians and Arcturians also participate at some point? Yes, absolutely. A few years down the road after the Pleiadians make themselves known. So there's going to be a rollout of many species. They're going to take it slow so that humanity is not overwhelmed. 5, Sterling, you mentioned in a prior video that whether we win the lottery or not is predetermined as part of our life path. Does this mean it's a waste of time to select special numbers to maximize your chance of winning a lottery if it's all a matter of predestined? Well, first off, balance in life is very important. And yes, if, for example, you're meant to win a $100 million lottery, there are no accidents in life. So you have to understand, even winning a $100 million lottery is on your life path. All of our life paths interconnect. Now, to put it simply, if you're meant to win the lottery, the chances are very good you're going to win it with one ticket. So, if it's on your life path, it's going to be predestined. It's going to work out for you. So hopefully that helps. You have to understand that, again, if you win, let's say $100 million lottery, that affects your life, all the lives around you, completely changes life paths, but doesn't change them per se. This is all part of all the life paths are affected by that winning. So hopefully that helps. 4, my question is regarding children with autism. I read a prophecy decades ago that society will one day realize these children with autism are a gift to the world because of their unique abilities of perception. What do your guides say? Yes, absolutely the case. Children with this artifact, this health artifact, do have very heightened skills in several areas. They are a gift to the world, absolutely. 3 on the countdown. Hello, Sterling. Thank you for answering our questions like this. You've mentioned that bacteria might be used to decrease excess plastics. Sometimes an introduced species becomes invasive, such as Asian carp, which affected fishing in Mississippi and Illinois. Do you see any potential future problems like this with the plastic ingesting bacteria? No, not necessarily. I see new forms of algae, and there are thousands of forms of algae, but new forms of algae that are going to be used to lessen the waste and break down plastics in the oceans. But they're also telling me, we now have artificial intelligence that will run millions of scenarios, testing scenarios on different things we do in the world, and actually can predict certain behaviors or outcomes. So I don't see a big problem here. And it looks like artificial intelligence will play a big role in lessening the probability of major catastrophes, like the ones being described here by the introduction of carp. Number 2 on the countdown. Do you see anything coming up this next week? I see my team's telling me major positive advances in Ukraine. Wonderful, wonderful advances by the Army to the deployment of very advanced weapons that have been delivered, hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons being delivered. My team has been talking about this for a long time. Movement in the 45 cases going through the appeals court. Many more things happening with that. New witnesses coming forward. New surprise witnesses coming forward for the January 6th committee as well. I do see that. It's interesting. Looks like they're coming out of the woodwork because they see the writing on the wall and trying to get ahead of any indictments. So trying to work a deal to see that. Many more climate effects changes here going on in the US and Canada. Now, it may sound kind of broad, but still going to have a big incidence of fires and flooding across the US and Canada, even parts of Australia here. Going to start wrestling with things here. It's going to be contained, but issues coming up here. Oh, and big pushes on the new vaccine being rolled out and being refined. So we're going to start to get ahead of, my guy's been talking about, the new variant coming up for the world, the tail end of this year, and then a vaccine that would be available, a new vaccine to help combat this. So, again, very busy week. And of course, a lot of activity surrounding Queen Elizabeth's passing and memorials for her and services. So bless her, a lot of love and light to her. It was wonderful talking with her at the beginning of the show. So again, very busy week, a lot of things coming up. And number 1 in the countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? Yes. Keep a sharp focus on the future you are creating, because your focus on a daily basis creates the future that is important for you and the world. So wonderful spending time with you on this Sunday, September 11th, 2022. Again, any needs to reach me, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book a session tab, very easy. I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous amount of love to you and your families worldwide. Take care. I'll see you next Sunday.